All right, it's Friday afternoon. The trading week is over. I'm going to do a quick highlight video and talk about a couple here. Akamai was one. This is a scenario. I'll share with you my thinking on this because this tends to be a pretty darn good setup. So Akamai, I'll get my drawing tool going here. Anytime you have a stock, these are 5-minute candles from today, okay? Anytime you get, you put in a low here around lunchtime and then it kind of climbed back up. Anytime you get this look, grinding back down, okay, all these candles are about the same size, right? And then all of a sudden you get the big one on bigger volume as it breaks the low of the day. In my opinion, who knows what the actual dynamic is, but in my opinion, these are late shorts. You know, people trying to make that easy money because Akamai's breaking the earlier low and trying to make that, you know, once it breaks the low of the day, I bet it's going to fall another $1. That's that kind of mentality. But in my opinion, it's important to look at how far Akamai has just fallen before these people decide to short it as it breaks the low of the day. Okay, this thing had just fallen about 60 cents and now they want to short it. That's typically an exercise in futility. So what I like to do when I see these even number candles and then the big push as it breaks the low of the day on bigger volume, I like to switch to 2-minute candles, and that's what I've done here. And so when I switch to twos, basically you're trying to go inside of that long 5-minute candle, you know, like an x-ray almost. So I use 2-minute candles, and if I get the clean stair-step look like I have here, and I was projecting this live for our members in the chat room, then I'll call a break, first break of a previous two's high as a long. Okay, so 50.73, and it did it right there. Worst case stop now goes below the trigger candle itself at 50.61. 12 cents risk, 50.73, and this thing just grinded higher and sold the last little bit of it. As always, I scale out into a move, but sold the last little bit right up in here, very close to the high of the rally there. So that was a nice trade in Akamai. It actually moved almost 60 cents, and the risk was 12 cents a share. Nice little tip there on how to play these intraday capitulative turns, if you will. I don't know if that's what you want to call them, but also a lower volume stock that I'm not a big fan of playing these lower volume ones. But we had this on watch because it broke out the other day out of this long base, nice breakout in a few-day pullback, and then I called it this morning for our members at 10.79. Here's 5-minute candles. I said if it breaks this early high, you have yesterday's high just to the left. So 10.79 was the idea. The stop, worst case, 14 cents below. So I said if it gets up above the high of the day, it's a buy, 10.79. And really quickly to 11, so you already could have sold some for a nice gain, but it did hold the original stop and ended up closing near the highs of the day at 11.28. So almost a 50-cent move there on about 14 cents risk. Now, you know, everything we try doesn't work. I have an example of that too right here. APWR I had on watch this morning because it had this huge gap down and then really was in kind of a long, well, about 6-7 day base there. And then today was set to open well over 5, like 5.05, something like that. And here's the candle. Let me see where it opened. Yeah, opened at 5.05. Watched it trade for a couple minutes. I'll bring up 3-minute candles. Put in a fairly narrow range on the first 3 minutes, 5.01 and 5.10. So I called that at a break of the high of the day, 5.11. Worst case stop, 5. So 11 cents risk. It did move pretty quickly to 5.17, but then came back down. Now I have a steadfast rule that I teach. If something moves a nickel or more in your favor, comes back to your entry, go ahead and kill it and take the flat trade. We'll find other ideas. But another example of APWR not working. All right, it looked like this when I called it a second time. Had a 5.10 high here, a morning high, okay, and a 5.17 high for the morning. For the opening high. So we had a bounce to 5.10, 5.17, then a bounce to 5.10, then a little tight base here at 5.09. So I said 5.10 could easily get you through this high and make a run at the high of the day. Well, 5.10 took us to 5.15. Again, a nickel or more, so, and then it just based for like an hour. So somewhere in here I killed it flat again. Another time it didn't work. And then later in the day I said, well, over 5.15. And the thinking is, guys, if this can break its early high after this gap up, the high of this entire little island down here is 5.18. Today's high, 5.17. So I'm really trying to catch this on a high of day break, especially after those bases, like this base here, looked great. I said 5.16 should get us through the high of the day, and then should get us through, you know, the high of this island, and maybe a little mini short squeeze there. I mean, you guys saw Dean Foods yesterday kind of breaking above a base after getting killed, and Dean Foods' big 2-day rally there. We called that one yesterday when the chart looked like this. And that ended up being huge. So anyway, APWR, an example, so I don't get the impression that everything I call works. APWR was pretty frustrating for me today and just couldn't get going. So a couple flat trades in that one. Anyway, have a great weekend. I'm going to quit babbling. We'll follow up Monday with the highlights from Monday's chat room session, show you what we did during the day on Monday. So have a great weekend.